why America is a free country, with Independence Day right around the corner, it is important to understand the cause for this independence. I have just recently finished researching this topic for an American history paper. My name is Brianna Lee, and I'm an avid history enthusiast. There are three main causes for America's independence: the Boston Massacre, taxation without representation, and the various acts that the Britons chose to bestow upon the colonials. An act is an exercise of power, as defined by freedictionary.com. In the mid-1700s, Britain was constantly issuing the exercise of power. We will start with the Currency Act. This forbade from the colonials for printing their own currency. Next is the Quartering Act. This forced colonials to house and give supplies and foods to troops when their barracks were unavailable. The next is the Declaratory Act. This basically gave Parliament complete control over all colonial affairs. The next is the Intolerable Acts. This was a result of the Boston Tea Party. Britain responded to the colonials dumping the tea into the Boston Harbor by closing the harbor and banning all public meetings. This cut their supply line. Without the supply line, the colonials were unable to get the supplies they need and also export the supplies that they make. This also had zero communication, meaning that the colonials could not get together in a public meeting and discuss these unjust acts that were happening by the Brits. Each of these acts tore the freedoms from the colonials, as the chart and Visions of America, Volume 1 expresses. The next cause was taxation without representation. A tax is a fee put upon individuals to support the government. Britain began taxing the colonials, but did not allow representation. This was a very, very, very controversial thing for the colonials. They believed as free men they had this right to be represented if they paid the taxes. Some of these taxes were the Sugar Act. This reduced duties on molasses, but increased harsher punishment for violation. The next is the Stamp Act. This made colonials use special paper for all documents and printed materials. Of course, these materials were taxed. This resulted in riots and harassment of enforcement officers. The Townshend Acts placed new duties on lead, paint, glass, and paper. This started the non-importation movement. The Tea Act gave the East Indian Company a monopoly on tea. Basically, they were the only people who were allowed to import and export tea. This resulted in the Boston Tea Party. The Boston Massacre was the last straw for the colonials. On a cold winter day, the citizens began taunting the British troops. They were unarmed, but they began throwing snowballs at these soldiers. The soldiers started open fire, thus resulting in killing 5 unarmed colonials. Many believe that this was a deliberate act. This infuriated the colonists and added more fuel to the fire, according to the historyofwar.com. Between the unjust acts, the taxation without representation, and the Boston Massacre, the colonials had enough to fully rebel against the Brits. Now that I have described these events and the acts that took place, we can better understand the mistreatment our founders of the country faced. So next time you think about the rights and freedoms that you possess, remember where they came from and the sacrifices that granted us our freedoms. Thank you.